a little more today on trying to get passages in good shape. I believe I've mentioned this probably in passing, but not focused on it exactly. This should be something that any teacher would probably tell their pupil. So if you're hearing this for the first time, that would be pretty strange. But I did want to reinforce and sort of explore a little bit with sort of why it works. And that is taking passages that are giving you trouble and adding different rhythms to it. So what's a rhythm? So here's a straight passage that's giving me trouble right now. It's written in quarters, so adding rhythms will be pretty easy. Just I'll show you in a sec. And then there's a group of seven at the end, but it's just sort of a quasi sort of elaboration. So that's not the tough part, but there's advantages to just sort of playing it slowly, but that kind of takes you kind of so far. Like you'll understand a little bit more on where you need to go and how much you need to press. I think this section gives me troubles because E string is something that needs to be pressed a little harder for it to speak, and I get kind of not a very good sound on it. So this is definitely a spot where I'm going to use a rhythm or two or three or four. So let's just do da 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 da. I like that one a lot. It's I feel like the other one is a little easier always. So so let's do the other one first. So what I'm hearing is what happens with rhythms is half of the notes are your brain is given a little time to sort of think about it and how much to go, and then the other half of the section is under duress. It really has no time. So what you end up doing is sort of exercising part of your brain where it's like it's active, and another part of your brain where it's a little bit like getting in a car accident. It's just your reflexes. It's not really like you have your CEO sort of in charge of the note, especially if you go slow. So. Let's try the other rhythm. So that was da 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 da. Let's do. Yeah, actually, in this case, this rhythm is harder for this particular passage. So even though like I said earlier, the other rhythm tends to be a better rhythm for general passages. In this particular case, all the shifts happen where the interval time is the quickest. So you end up going sort of a la trombone, like really quickly. And so this is a good place to use that rhythm with a slow tempo. Yeah, I'm not getting to that third. Yeah, it's getting better, I can tell. And then what I'm doing is I'm smearing my finger. It's sort of instinctual, but It's good. It's a good. It's a good. Well, it's a little bit of. It's kind of a cheat, but there's nothing wrong with it. It happens so fast in all passages that to know how much to smear, um, that's completely fine in this case. Yeah, it's an annoying passage, and it stinks because the passage before it and after are very relaxed. So this is a moment, perhaps, when you're sort of flowing, you're comfortable, and then all of a sudden there's like this little chunk of a nasty passage that can give you some trouble. So um, rhythms in this case are perfectly what the doctor ordered. Now, those dotted rhythms are not the only rhythms that you can use. I for certain use those the most. But one rhythm that I like to do is sort of an over the bar line rhythm. So here's the presto from the double of the B minor J.S. Bach solo sonata. It's a mouthful. Solo sonata. It's actually quite similar to the piece I was just playing. So here's a rhythm. It's actually a little easier to start from here because it starts on 16ths. Run, chicka, run, chicka, run, chicka, run. And the reason why that's a really interesting rhythm for this piece is because it's dun, 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 and then the next group of four starts not on eighth, but rather that starts with 16th. So if you know what I mean, it's. It's really you almost have to play that rhythm with music because, like I said, it's not a shared structure. Like there's within the four note idea or the structure, it's not the same as the next four. So if that doesn't make sense, this would be the same all across the board. So they're all the same, right? And if you were to invert that, it's. It's not a bad rhythm for this, but I really like the one where it's a little chaotic. It's just man, it really challenges the brain. So that's the idea with these rhythms is to get it so you are very comfortable when it's played straight. If you can do it basically holding, you're just like spinning plates on all your on all your fingers and on your toes. Now, if you were to like go back to sort of spinning one plate, which is the regular how it's written, then it's just so much easier. Your brain has been sort of exercised in all the extreme cases. I think that's sort of like a Navy SEAL sort of way of dealing. If you can deal with it in Hell Week, you can deal with it in sort of a regular setting, and it's just to condition the brain as much as you possibly can. And there's endless tricks. There's ones you can do with bows. This one I was never a fan of, but man, does it ever work? It's a good exercise for I almost don't want to do it because it's like it's I feel like I could almost drop my bow. So this is for something that's very form intensive. This is Paganini number, Caprice number 2, I think. The idea is to play it below the your hand, and it's almost this is getting to like a parlor trick, but it still stands that do things that are very strange in order just to sort of complicate your brain, and so when you go back to playing it straight, you've sort of covered all your bases. So. I could probably do it a little slower. Maybe a little. Yeah, it sounds like crap. And actually, I remember getting that exercise pretty good with that crazy way of doing it. Another way you can do it is either add weight to the tip of your bow somehow, or just flip your bow stick around. Maybe do this with your friend's bow. Don't use your nice fancy bow, because if you're not used to holding things certain ways, you can drop things. And there goes your tip on your bow. Yeah, it's all good for a while, and then as soon as you have to do the what makes this caprice hard is because you're going from G to E. That was not very good because I was hitting A. So all these little tricks you can do in order so that when you go play regularly, it's a lot easier. So how about a little later in that passage? It's not really the section I was trying to think of. There's a section where it's yeah, that's it. So in order to get that to sound very, very good, you can do it with the upside down. Yeah, that one feels very dangerous. Just drop my bow anytime. That was not even worth trying right now because I'm a little out of practice playing it that way. But it's just to showcase. Oh, it's to showcase how bad violin can sound. It's probably has the for instruments. I would say has the most. It's got the what's the word exactly? It's got the most buffer for being the most terrible sounding instrument until you get competent enough where it doesn't sound like that. It doesn't take much for the violin to sound like a screeching banshee. Yeah, so going back to rhythms, do things that can really trick your brain. You'll find that slow practice is just sort of step one. Add rhythms. Do things that are opposite on the page if there's a dynamic like a subito forzando. A really good way of doing that is inverting that. Let's think. Some Beethoven, I would have some subito fortes at least, right? Trying to think of the concerto. Let's start from here. So let's do the inverted. What happens is for forzandos, there's a strange reflex that happens in your nervous system. So if you practice the opposite, let's just do a simpler version. Okay. So it's just on my up bow C that I want to sort of, maybe it's written in the ideal situation as it's a subito piano, right? So this is a good way to practice it. Okay, so I'm exaggerating what's not written. I'm exaggerating the up bow C very loud, so that when I play it, when it's as it's written, I'll be sort of conditioned to deal with all situations, and it's a little easier to play that subito. It's a real that trick really works well. That's the sforzando trick. So if you have a passage that either is a subito or you're coming out of a piano and all of a sudden it's forzando forte, then like I said with the Beethoven concerto, invert it and you'll learn a lot of sort of how to prepare the mind, sort of clear the palate mentally for these moments. I guess it's like when you practice things a certain way so many times, you do build like this mental rut on what the physicality is and mentally what happens. So if you sort of keep that a little bit spicy, keep that a little fresh with doing things like rhythms, inverting things, holding bows in weird ways, you basically are keeping the mind from becoming passive, and it's a great way of mastering passages and ultimately playing the violin pretty competently.